Welcome to Photoshop Killer Tips, brought to you by the National Association of Photoshop Professionals. Here's your host, Matt Kliskowski.
Alright, earlier this week I showed you some undocumented shortcuts for filling selections and layers with a foreground or background color here in Photoshop. Well, today I'm going to kind of show you one that's very similar to that, but I think it's actually a lot more useful sometimes because it combines three steps into one here. So let's take a look at my document here. I've got two copies of a glass on two separate layers here. Now what I want to do is leave the top copy as is, but I'm going to skew and warp this bottom copy almost to kind of simulate a drop shadow effect. So almost even more like a cast shadow. So I'm going to go to Control T or Command T. That brings up Free Transform. Then hold down the Control key here. I'm just going to kind of skew and warp this glass out to the side here. And then what that does is that kind of simulates a little bit of a drop shadow for me. But the problem is obviously this is still a glass, and a drop shadow would not be the same duplicate glass. So what I want to do is fill this object with black. Well, the way I'm going to do it here is a great little shortcut. Remember, holding down the Alt key or the Option key on a Mac and the Backspace key, well, that fills the whole layer with black. Well, I'm going to undo. If I hold down the Alt or the Option key and I throw the Shift key in there, and then I press the Backspace key, look at that. See, it filled just the pixels that are on that layer with black. So it really kind of combined three steps into one because I didn't have to select it and I didn't have to use the paint bucket tool. I did it all at once, and it's almost very similar to using this lock transparent pixels feature up at the top here. So if you ever have to quickly fill an object on a layer, all you need to do is hold down the Alt key, Option key, throw the Shift key in there, and then press Backspace. The same thing works in reverse too. Remember how Control and Backspace fills with the background color? Well, if I throw the Shift key in there too, it'll fill with the background color as well. So then the last thing to do here would just be go under Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and then just kind of run a high blur on that and then drop the opacity down, and we can kind of simulate a little bit of a drop shadow effect here. So hope you enjoyed that, and today is Friday, January 27th, so that's it for this week, but we will see you again on Monday.